Prime Minister Narendra Modi will inaugurate 1,75,000 houses built under the Pradhan Mantri Awaas Yojana Gramin in Madhya Pradesh in the presence of Chief Minister today. The scheme has been instrumental in building 1 crore 14 lakh houses across the country. Delhi Metro becomes fully operational today. All lines operate from 6 a.m. till 11 p.m. The airport metro resumes its services too. Indian Railways to run additional 40 pairs of special trains from today. Booking for these trains started 2 days earlier. US President Donald Trump announces Israel-Bahrain deal to establish full diplomatic ties and called the development a historic breakthrough to further peace in the Middle East. Gold mine collapses in Democratic Republic of Congo following heavy rains. 50 people feared dead in the tragedy. And in sports, Alexander Zverev enters the Grand Slam final for the first time and is the first German man to play in the US Open singles final since Michael Stick in 1994. Dominic Thiem in action in the other semi-final against Daniel Medvedev. Good morning. Welcome to English News. I am Anil Thomas. Now for the stories in detail. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will participate in the inauguration and Grih Pravesham ceremony of 1,75,000 houses built under the Pradhan Mantri Awaas Yojana Gramin in Madhya Pradesh via video conferencing. Madhya Pradesh Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan will also be present on the occasion. All of these houses have been built during the current challenging COVID-19 pandemic period. Prime Minister had given a clarion call of housing for all by 2022, for which a flagship program of Pradhan Mantri Awaas Yojana Gramin was launched on the 20th of November 2016. So far, 1 crore 14 lakh houses have been built across the country under this program. In Madhya Pradesh, 17 lakh poor households have benefited from this scheme till now. Under the Pradhan Mantri Awaas Yojana Gramin, each beneficiary is given 100% grant of 1,20,000 rupees with a sharing ratio of 60:40 between the center and the state. In addition to the unit assistance, the beneficiaries are provided support of unskilled labor wages for 90 to 95 days under the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme and assistance of 12,000 rupees for construction of toilets through Swachh Bharat Mission Gramin or any other dedicated source of funding. Well, for more on this story, Arun Sharma, our correspondent, joining us this morning with updates on this particular event. Arun, looking at the Pradhan Mantri Awaas Yojana Gramin, especially, this particular lot of houses that have been built took place during this COVID times. How challenging was it completing the project in this scheduled period?
Good morning, Anil. And indeed, it's a big day for the people of Madhya Pradesh as well, because we know this fact that Madhya Pradesh is one of the top performer as far as constructions of houses are concerned under the Pradhan Mantri Awaas Yojana Gramin.
Okay.
Yes, indeed. Now, these 1.75 lakh houses, these houses were constructed during the COVID pandemic time. Indeed, it was a challenging task, but yes, this sends and gives a message that government is not going to stop any of the projects which are, related to provide or primarily change the social or bring a social change in the lives of the people. So Pradhan Mantri Awaas Yojana primarily providing housing for all by 2022. That's what the target of the government is, and the COVID pandemic also cannot stop this target of to achieve this target. So yes, when we talk about these houses, this is for the first time, because we know this fact, Anil, that on various occasions in the past, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has participated in the Grih Pravesham program of various other states, be it Gujarat, be it Uttar Pradesh, and various other states as well. but 1.75 lakhs in one go. Now, this is an inauguration of this 1.75 lakh or Grih Pravesham of 1.75 lakh at one go, and even though during the COVID pandemic time. So this also gives a message that yes, housing for all is of topmost priority for the government as well. Now, we should also understand this fact, Anil, that this also gives a message that how states and center, they both are coming together as far as construction of houses are concerned. 1.20 lakh, or that means 1,20,000 rupees is being granted to the beneficiary, and the beneficiary is actually selected on the basis of socio-economic status of that particular beneficiary. And 60% is the contribution from the center side, and 40% is the contribution from the state side. Now, in the case of hilly region and northeastern region, this contribution is in the ratio of 90:10. That means 90% will be contributed by the central government and 10% by the state government. And in case of Ladakh region, 100% contribution is from the central government side. So yes, the housing construction, when we know this fact that two important subsets of Pradhan Mantri Awaas Yojana. One is Pradhan Mantri Awaas Yojana Gramin, and another one is Pradhan Mantri Awaas Yojana Urban. So under the Pradhan Mantri Awaas Yojana Gramin, 2.95 crore houses are to be constructed by 2022. Now, various states have done a fantastic job as far as construction of housing is concerned, be it Uttar Pradesh, Gujarat, Andhra Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh for that matter. And today's event is also very much important in that aspect only. Anil.
Okay. Arun, looking at housing for all to realize its vision by 2022, do you feel we are very much on track for achieving the target by the year 2022?
Absolutely, that's what the message is very much clear, that during the if in case during the pandemic time, if the housing construction activity is going on, and as the government has also ensured that even during the COVID pandemic time, the construction of houses under the Pradhan Mantri Awaas Yojana Gramin is going on. That means the government is very much committed as far as providing housing for all by 2022. Now, states and center, they both are playing an important role as far as providing housing for all. Now, we should not forget the fact that Pradhan Mantri Awaas Yojana Gramin, it primarily helps the beneficiaries as well for the development in others, the socio-economic aspect as well. That means construction of toilets, providing potable water to these beneficiaries in their household itself, and various other things have been provided with this house, so that a clean house, livable environment can be provided as far as these housing projects are concerned. Now, monitoring is also being done as far as this construction of houses are concerned, because geotagging is done as far as this Awaas Yojana Gramin is concerned, so that whenever a fund is being transferred to the beneficiary, a photograph is being taken as to what is the various phases of the construction of the houses, and that is being uploaded on the website of the Government of Housing and Urban Development Ministry. And the ministry and the government primarily can monitor the stages and the phases of the houses in as to what is the exact phase in which the construction activity is going on. And when the house construction activity is completed, at that time only a complete amount is being transferred to the beneficiary, so that there is no corruption chances as well, because earlier we have seen that the funds were transferred but there was no construction of house activity taking place. But now when a house is constructed, the fund is being transferred to the beneficiary, and yes, at that time we can see that actually a house is being constructed, bringing smile on the faces of the poor people in our country.
Okay, Arun, we'll leave it there. You've got a busy day ahead. We'll come back to you for more updates on this particular story as and when the event begins. Thank you once again for joining us this morning with those updates. Well, moving on now, days after resuming operations in a phased manner across the national capital, all trains on the lines of Delhi Metro resumed this morning from 6 a.m. till 11 p.m. Delhi Metro services resumed services from 7th of September on a graded manner. Under Stage 1, Rapid Metro yellow, blue, pink, red, violet and green lines were made operational with restricted service hours. The second stage began on Friday with the magenta and grey lines opening their doors to commuters and service hours being extended. The Airport Express line also resumed services as a part of the third stage of the graded reopening of the Delhi Metro. With this, all lines of the urban transporter have become operational throughout the day. The frequency of trains during non-peak hours will be the same as peak hours, so people can follow staggered timings for their journeys and still avail metro services. The DMRC has appealed to people to use the rapid transport only if urgently needed. Metro services in Delhi and the National Capital Region were closed on March 22nd to check the spread of coronavirus. A quick update for our viewers there. Tomorrow is Sunday. The metro services will begin at 6 a.m. to help the students who are taking part in the examinations, the NEET examinations, so that they can reach their exam halls on time. Well, moving on, Indian Railways will operate 40 pairs of additional special trains on specific routes from today in a bid to cater the increasing demands. Reservations for these trains have already begun on September 10th. The trains will be fully reserved, and in addition to the special trains that are already under operation, the composition and routes of these trains will be as per the existing regular trains. These trains will have both AC and non-AC classes and general coach with reserved seats. There will be no unreserved coaches. 4 pairs of these trains will operate in the Northeast Frontier Railway area. At present, 230 special passenger trains are running, connecting different cities of the country by following the necessary COVID-19 guidelines. Of the 230 special trains, 15 pairs of passenger special AC trains being run since May 12th, while 100 pairs started operation from the 1st of June. India and the United States have discussed a range of bilateral, regional and multilateral issues at the 2+2 intersessional meeting on Friday. At the virtual meeting, both sides discussed issues on combating COVID-19, counter-terrorism, India's membership at the UN Security Council, efforts to counteract recent destabilizing actions in South Asia and the broader Indo-Pacific region. They agreed to further strengthen consultation through United States, India, Australia, Japan quadrilateral consultations. The progress and developments in bilateral ties since the last 2+2 ministerial meeting was also reviewed. United States also underscored the importance of India's status as a major defense partner. India and the United States are expected to hold 2+2 ministerial dialogue later this year. The result for JEE Mains 2020 was announced on Friday, with 24 students scoring 100 percentile in their engineering entrance exam. The ranks of the candidates have been decided taking into consideration better of the 2 NTA scores of all candidates that appeared in the JEE Main January and September 2020 examination. The exam was conducted from September 1st to 6th amid stringent precautions and social distancing measures in view of the COVID-19 pandemic. Meanwhile, Union Education Minister Ramesh Pokhriyal Nishank has congratulated the toppers of JEE exam. In a tweet, the minister said, and I quote, "I also thank everyone involved in the JEE exam and for declaring the results. This is the testimony of the spirit of cooperative federalism and young Atmanirbhar Bharat under Prime Minister Narendra Modi's leadership. Despite odds, we prove ourselves." The Election Commission has issued revised guidelines for publicizing details of candidates and their political parties regarding candidates nominated by them. As per the revised guidelines, the candidates as well as the political parties regarding candidates nominated by them will publish the details of criminal incidents, if any, in newspapers and television. The first publicity will be within the first 4 days of the last day of withdrawal. The second publicity will be within the 5th through 8th day of the last day of withdrawal. The third publicity will be from the 9th day till the last day of campaign, which is 2 days prior to the date of the poll. The EC has said that the uncontested winner candidates as well as the political parties who nominate them shall also publicize their criminal incidents. The Election Commission has said that the timeline will help the voters in exercising their choice in a more informed manner. Well, time now to take a look at updates from COVID-19 from across the country. Nearly 35,50,000 people in the country have recovered from COVID-19 so far. The overall recovery rate has now reached 77.65%. The Health Ministry has said that the constant increase in recoveries ensured that the actual caseload of the country is reduced and currently comprises only 20.68% of the total positive cases. The number of recovered patients has overtaken the active cases by nearly 3.8 times. Effective implementation of test, track and treat approach has led to higher recoveries and lower fatality. Currently, India's fatality rate stands at 1.67%. The findings of the first National Sero Survey conducted by ICMR, published in the Indian Journal of Medical Research, indicate that 0.73% adults in India were exposed to the SARS-CoV-2, amounting to a total of 6.4 million infections by early May. The survey was conducted from the 11th of May to the 4th of June and covered 28,000 individuals. Also, seropositivity was the highest in the age group of 18 to 45 years with 43.3%, followed by those between 46 to 60 years with 39.5%, and it was the lowest among those aged between 60, above 60 with 17.2%. The survey report says it estimated that there were a total of 64,68,388 adult infections in India by early May. It highlighted the need to continue to implement context-specific containment measures, including testing of all symptomatics, isolating positive cases, and tracking high-risk contacts to slow down transmission and to prevent overburdening of the health system. On to international stories. The Gulf state of Bahrain and Israel have reached a landmark deal to fully normalize their relations. US President Donald Trump has announced on Friday, after he spoke by phone to Bahrain's King Hamad bin Al Khalifa and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Trump hailed the deal as a historic breakthrough. Bahrain will join Israel and the UAE for a signing ceremony at the White House on September 15th.
This is a truly historic day. There had been 2 peace agreements with Israel in the last 72 years. This is now the 2nd peace agreement that we've announced in the last month, and I am very hopeful that there will be more to follow. In the spirit of peace and cooperation, both leaders also agreed that Bahrain will fully normalize its diplomatic relations with Israel. They will exchange embassies and ambassadors, begin direct flights between their countries, and launch cooperation initiatives across a broad range of sectors, including health, business, technology, education, security, and agriculture.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu praised Bahrain's decision to normalize relations with Israel. Netanyahu called next week's meeting in Washington, D.C. a great historic moment of peace. Friday's deal makes Bahrain the 4th Arab country to reach such an agreement with Israel. Well, for more on the story, Amritpal joins us this morning. Amritpal, what has been the reaction of other Arab countries, especially considering that this is the 4th nation to strike a historic deal with Israel?
Well, the reaction ranges from stab in the back to silence or a silent approval.
Okay.
The Arab world, especially Hamas, has reacted very, very strongly on expected lines. Other militia have reacted on these lines. Some Arab countries have said that it is shocking and it's a letdown. And that was on expected lines, because that's the sort of reactions, those are the sort of reactions that we saw on the last month as well, when UAE became the first Arab Gulf country to have normalization of relationship with Israel. Though, as you said, that 4th Arab country, Bahrain, becomes the 4th. But the other aren't Gulf; they are Jordan and Egypt.
True.
So the reaction has been muted, and also saying that Bahrain has let them down, and that's on expected lines. The rest of the world is yet to react, but as you've seen what Prime Minister Netanyahu and the American President said. They've welcomed it. They've called it a new era of peace. That is the international reaction. Anil?
Also, was this anticipated? Bahrain's moves, was this anticipated, considering that UAE had, was the first to join it? So was this move anticipated or did it come as a surprise?
It was anticipated. It was expected that Qatar, Bahrain, and even possibly Morocco could join. So, in the Gulf region, Qatar is being widely seen as could follow suit. So it was. This was expected after the UAE signed that deal last month.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Thank you and appreciate you joining us this morning with those updates there on that historic peace deal between Bahrain and Israel. Well, staying with international stories, at least 50 people have been killed after a gold mine collapse in East Congo. The artisanal gold mine collapsed near the Kamituga in the east of the Democratic Republic of Congo. The incident took place following heavy rains in that region. Mining accidents are common in unregulated mines in Congo, with dozens of deaths every year in mines where often ill-equipped diggers burrow deep underground in search for ore. A landslide at a disused gold mine killed 16 in October last year, while 43 illegal miners died in another landslide at a copper and cobalt mine in June last year. Well, time now to take a look at updates on COVID-19 from across the world. Over 2 crore 86 lakhs coronavirus cases have been reported worldwide, with the death toll now hitting 9 lakh 19,000. Over 2 crore 5 lakh people have also recovered from the coronavirus. The United States continues to top the list among the worst hit by the pandemic, with the highest number of infections and fatalities. US has over 66 lakhs 36,000 cases of COVID-19, with the death toll now crossing 1 lakh 97,000. The confirmed coronavirus death toll in Mexico is primed to hit 70,000 as per the official data released on Friday, a grim milestone for a country among those most affected by the pandemic. Making matters worse, excess mortality data from mid-March through early August indicates that the total number of deaths beyond the official count is likely tens of thousands higher. The spread of the virus has ravaged an already ailing economy, which is now seeing contracting by up to 13% this year, the deepest recession since the 1930 era, that's the Great Depression. Based on official data, Mexico is the nation with the 4th highest number of deaths globally and the 13th highest on a per capita basis, according to a tally by Johns Hopkins University. Well, French Prime Minister has said that his government was not planning a new nationwide lockdown to contain a resurgence in coronavirus cases, but would instead implement a raft of less radical measures. He said this would include fast-track testing for priority cases to reduce the time spent waiting for results, and targeted restrictions in areas of the country hit especially hard by the pandemic. He said these would include fast-track COVID testing for priority cases and giving local authorities the power to make some businesses reduce opening hours. The French government is under renewed pressure to curb the spread of the disease as the country faces a sharp spike in infections since the beginning of the month. In other news, ballot drop boxes have been installed outside public libraries and recreation centers around Los Angeles ahead of the November 3rd general election. A total of 123 vote-by-mail drop boxes will be available for voters beginning October 5th, the same day Los Angeles County begin mailing vote-by-mail ballot to voters. The number of Americans voting by mail on November 3rd is expected to nearly double due to COVID-19, and the turmoil at the U.S. Postal Service is causing some Democrats and local election officials to shift emphasis to drop boxes and early voting that bypass the post office. On to sports and US Open, Dominic Thiem has reached his first US Open final and become the first Austrian to reach a singles final in Flushing Meadows. He beat Daniel Medvedev 6-2, 7-6, 7-6. He will face Alexander Zverev, the German, in the final. Alexander Zverev is the first German to reach the final after a very long time. The last person to reach a US Open final was Michael Stick, the German, in 1994. Alexander Zverev needed a 5-set thriller to reach the final. He beat Pablo Carreno Busta of Spain in a 5-set thriller. He won the match 3-6, 2-6, 6-3, 6-4, 6-3. He lost the first 2 sets, then bounced back to win the next 3 to reach or book his final ticket for the Grand Slam of the year. Well, after a look at the sports story, it's a time for me to say goodbye. Thanks for watching. You take good care of yourself. We're going to be back again shortly. Stay tuned.